Trina. So here they are. They just said this is Trina and Tyrone, So we have at the wedding today, and this is Tyrone here. So Trina and Tyrone, they get married. And so I've already tested him and measured him for his tuxedo. So this is the new time. My children say, if we hear you talking to those little squirrels down there, again, we're going to put you in a nursing home. So life is full of distractions. And so I want you to think about what are your goals and what is it that you see for yourself in and out of the pandemic. You just saw a video. Here I am, 77, just a few months ago, about 3 months ago, I connected with my birth family. And to see a picture for the first time of my birth mother and father, this thing called life, it's just so unpredictable, and so that in the middle of all the stuff that we have to do, and the things that you have to do in terms of your personal stuff, in terms of your business and the people that's a part of your team, and all of the unexpected distractions that we just don't see coming. This is a very challenging time. And what we have to do and know is, first of all, we have to have a program for ourselves to handle what's going on. And I want you to write this down. When things go wrong, don't go with them, because they're going to go wrong. That's going to happen. And so having a strategy, a game plan, a ritual to train your mind to observe things and not buy into the things that you see, that's major now more than ever. This is no time to lose it. And so when we look at all the conflict and all the things, the confusions and the violence and the spike in suicide and politicians lying out of their necks every day and say, don't believe your lying eyes. You say, come on. This is a different kind of place. And so this is a time that you have to begin to focus on you. This lady, she was working in hospice, and she was interviewing patients who just had a few weeks to live, about 2 months to 3 months, and she asked them, what do you regret about your life? And the majority of them said that I wasn't true to myself, that I wish that I had done the things that had been true to me. It's been said that most people die unlived lives. They die a life that's not them. And so I started examining, where am I now and what am I to do with what I'm going through, just with one of my children who's bipolar schizophrenic. How do I handle that? I call Fav and say, hey, I need some help. Do you know anybody that can help me? Because here I am, can motivate people around the world, and my son, look like I'm made him by myself, can't hear my voice. So that's very challenging, and it's very humbling. So part of what I want to share with you, develop a ritual for you. I'm the fix-it person, but I had to begin to anchor myself in the words, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can't change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if that wasn't enough, I'm at Cancer Centers of America last week, and they said, Mr. Brown, we know we gave you the Perseverance Award for 29-year prostate cancer conqueror. But we see something here, because I just said, let me just check myself out and see how things are going. And they said, your white blood cells are lower. We've not seen this. And I remember reading a book called Who's the Matter with Me? And what I realized, that the shift that has taken place in my health that I'm now proactively dealing with, it is a result of stress. that I was allowing the stress dealing with my son, dealing with the business and all my children and all of the things that I just have to deal with. No, excuse me, not have to deal with, that I get to deal with. I want you to write this down. Operation Clean Slate. Come on, somebody. Well, I'm coming for you right now. I started saying, wait a minute. A lot of stuff that I had on my plate, it wasn't my stuff. And so I decided Operation Clean Slate. I started getting stuff off my plate, my children, my brothers and my sisters and friends. My mother had a sign, my adopted mother had a sign on her mirror, and it read, "Oh Lord, help me keep my nose out of other people's business." Now I understand. I want you to write this down. We live our lives forward, but we understand it looking backwards. Now I understand what Mama meant, because I was putting my nose in a lot of business that was not my business. Operation Clean Slate. So you have to sometimes stop, look, and make an assessment and ask the question, what am I to do with this? Where am I going? What's going on with me? Who am I really? Who have I been being? And I have been being Superman or Mighty Mouse. Here I come to save the day. It's Mighty Mouse. He's on his way. I said, no, I resigned. I can't even call Superman to help me out. You know why? Because they eliminated the telephone booths. He can't even change clothes. I told him not to remove those telephone booths. He's not going to risk being arrested for indecent exposure, taking off his clothes in a telephone booth. Now, that's not an option. So, so here we are. And we have to deal with this stuff. And so, number one, you got to be true to yourself. You got to have a ritual to take care of yourself. And you know this. And it's very important. And sometimes we need to be reminded of what we know. I'm getting still, and I'm reading the Bible, the Torah, the Kabbalah, the Holy Quran. I'm reading everything. When they said, Mr. Brown, your PSA, which stands for prostate specific antigen 2,400. Wow. And I say, whoa. But guess what? I got it down. To below 0, then it went up to 4. And so I'm working on it again. But what I know is I'm minimizing the stress in my life that I brought into my life. I take responsibility for where I am and this situation. That's an opportunity to prove my discipline and my commitment of making choices that I would be here, and at 77, making the rest of my life the best of my life. And I know that many of you have decided in this mastermind, that's where you are. And because we can't do it by ourselves. And so building mental resolve. I get up early in the morning, listening to things to fortify me, to begin to strengthen myself mentally and emotionally and spiritually. Here's something else. As you begin to dig in and start thinking your life, rethinking it and looking at yourself, why is that important? Because this is a new space that requires a new skill set. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. And so Les Brown had to say to himself, hey, look here. If you do the same thing that got you here, that won't serve you in this new space where we are. So self-awareness is very important. Am I being me? Am I being true to myself? Am I doing the things that I need to do to keep myself on the path, to do the things that as I go forward, where I am an asset to my family and not a liability? Here's something else. Whatever your goal and dream is, I can share with you based upon my experience, it's possible and it's necessary. You got to decide, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen. But not just that, but also who you have to be in order to do that. Because at the end of the day, and you know this, being with Fab, that people don't live life as it is. You live life as you are. If you're not playing with a full deck, if you are not getting a full night's sleep, if you don't have the clarity of mind to make good decisions that will serve you and your team and your family, that's going to be challenging. You become a liability. As Jim Rohn said, is your life a warning or is it an example? A warning of not to do or an example of what to do? So taking care of yourself. And I want you to write this down. Live your life, and this is where I am. And I really want you to put this someplace that you can see it. Live your life the way that you want to lead your life. I was talking to a room of entrepreneurs, and I asked them, if you knew you had just a few weeks to live, what would you do differently? And I was surprised that the majority said, I would quit my business, and they start thinking about things that they were going to do. And here's what was fascinating. There's a young lady in there named Pauline Ahi. Pauline was born with no arms and no legs. And so as I was passing her table in this training I was doing, someone said, did you hear what Les said? Write down the things that you would do differently if you knew you just had a few weeks to live. She said, yes, I heard him. And what most of them did at the table, they talked about quitting their business and start traveling and just doing a variety of things. And what she said, I would continue to be me. And when they heard her say that, these people who had written out all the things that they had taken on and all the things that they said that they would step away from, they begin to rethink themselves. And I asked also the second follow-up question, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now? Pauline did not have one thing on her paper. No arms, no legs, married with children. And they asked, you got to have some problem. You don't have no arms. You don't have no legs. That's got to be very challenging. He said, I don't have no challenge. I find a way to live life on my terms. Whoa. That's major. She said, I've set my life up, my environment, the people in my life, the things that I'm doing. There's nothing that I'm doing that's outside of what I want to do. I'm doing the stuff that's me. I'm being true to me. That's some lesson in that. See, if I knew I had a few weeks to live, I'd do more Zooms and give more motivational speeches. I told my kids, if they tell you I'm dead, don't let them embalm me for 3 days. Sneak in there and put a microphone in my head and my hand in the morgue. And if I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry, you call your brothers and sisters and say, Dad's gone. Yeah, but and if my casket give me a microphone or some Colonel Sanders chicken, I'll be fine. This thing called life. So just determining who are you now and who is it you need to be for this vision that you see of yourself, because life is very challenging. It's sometimes up, sometimes down. Sometimes things go well, and sometimes they don't go so well. It's a roller coaster. And so be true to you and decide the things that you envision for yourself, the reason that you're there. the goals that you've set, the relationships that you're building. Make sure that it represents who you are and the things that you envision. You got to have a mindset that I'm going to do this, just like we got started out. Some stuff happened. It's called life. Think it not strange that you're faced the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might. You will have tribulations. Here's something else. Determine what is it that you really want. That's major. What do I really want? And when I started practicing, and I got this from a friend of mine, business partner, Celeste Johnson, Operation Clean Slate, I took a lot of things off my plate, and I'm focusing on doing those things that's in my heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Spending more time with my children and my grandchildren and my 4 great-grandsons. And so when you look at the things that you want, creating special moments, it's been said, is not the number of breaths that you take, but the number of breaths that takes, the number of moments that you create that takes your breath away. And that's what I'm looking at and focusing on. I remember when I read this article about Howard Hughes, who at that time was the wealthiest man in the world, and they were trying to rush him someplace on an airplane, and he died. And someone asked the question, how much did he leave? And somebody answered, all of it. And so when we look at ourselves, we got to ask, what's really important? Making a decision, and this time that you're there to rethink your life. What's necessary for you that you want to do before you check out? I remember being at Caesar's Palace, and Frank Sinatra was at a table seated next to me. And at that time, I was married to Gladys Knight. I was the conductor of the midnight train. Come on now. I wasn't one of the pips. I was the conductor. Come on. And I heard him say to a young man, live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be. And so now I want you to write this down. And this is a biggie for me right now. A friend of mine, Samantha, and I said, how you doing? And she sounded so bubbly and so happy. I say, what's going on with you? Why are you so bubbly and happy? And I haven't seen you in a minute. She said, well, the reason I am, and I'm like this every day. And I said, why? She said, this is a non-refundable day. Whoa. I don't have time to be depressed and stressed out. It's non-refundable. I'm going to make the best of it. I hear you talking about making the rest of your life the best of your life. She said, that's real, because each moment, each day is non-refundable. I reminded myself that every hour, the time that I invest, the conversations that I have. I won't take a phone call unless it's positive, unless it's purposeful, unless it's productive, unless it's going in the direction of where I'm going. I'm not just going to give my time away. I'm 77. No, homie ain't playing that. I'm going to leave my life the way I wanted to do something more meaningful and make a greater impact. I still have some more in me. Simba, you're more than that which you have become. I still believe, and I'm sure some of you believe, that you still have some more in you, that the best is yet to come. Here's something else. Your why. What has driven me and caused me to become the person that I am was I wanted to take care of my adopted mother. You know, my birth mother, she gave me life, but my adopted mother, she taught me how to live life. I feel like Abraham Lincoln has said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And Mama, she was always engaged in life. She was always looking for ways that she could do something differently. It was not unusual for us to come home and mama, as small as our house was, that she had reconfigured the furniture in the house. And I remember one time coming home and there was a big window in the living room leaning up against the wall. And I said, Mama, why do you have this window here? Well, they tore this house down and you say you're going to get me a home. Well, I got this window, so if you're going to build me a home, I got a window that could fit. I said, no, man, I'm not going to buy a home that don't have windows in every room. Come on. And she most certainly accelerated me to getting the home that I promised her that I would get for her. But she had the vision saying, I'm going to participate in this and what you're going to do. I'm going to do my part. And so what reason you're here, you've decided, hey, I got something else I want to do. You've got some bigger goals that you want to achieve. And write this down. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I got 3 brothers, 2 that I didn't know. And they look at me and say, whoa, how is it possible? You're just like our birth mother, and you didn't know her, and our grandmother, and you didn't know either one, didn't see them. How is it possible? And you're just like them. And the reason is, one, they didn't have any goals beyond their comfort zone and still don't. And they're fine with that. And that's okay. And the other thing is that people say, well, it's in your genes. No. I remember spending a whole day with Maya Angelou, and Maya Angelou said, it aggravates me when people say I'm a natural communicator. She said, show me a natural heart surgeon. She said, no, I'm trained. And so if they put in the effort and the time like you're doing to get training and upgrade my knowledge, my relationships, expand my vision and dreams, I would be living just a non-consequential life. I didn't want that. The reason you are there, that you want to make a greater impact with your business, with the people that you're working with, to bring out the best in them, but also be the model, not just the messenger, but the message that you want to bring out the best in yourself, to challenge yourself. Iron sharpening iron. That's why you're there, creating collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. That's why you're there. You know there's something in you that says, this is not just it for me. There is more for me. People can be distracted by what's going on in Ukraine, by what's going on with the virus. But as for me, I know that this is my life right now. There is no duplicate, and I want to maximize it. Give yourselves a round of applause for reaching for your greatness. Do that right now. Here's something else. Make it important to know what drives you and what's most important now. There are things that used to be important to me. They're no longer important. And that's why I've been doing Operation Clean Slate, getting a lot of stuff and a lot of people out of my life. I remember when I read the book, Who's the Matter with Me? I wrote down the names of the family members and friends that I communicated with most. And I asked myself the question, is this relevant? This relationship, is it productive? Is it positive? Is this relationship, does it bring the best out of me? This relationship, this energy, does it challenge me, hold me accountable to a higher standard? People rub off on you. Academy Award winner Sidney Poitier said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. He said, either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? I want you to write this down. OQP, going forward, only quality people. I do not allow myself to be in the company of people that I know more than them. Why? If you're the smartest one in the group, you need to get a new group. No. Jim Rohn said something. He said, your life is either a warning or an example. A warning of what not to do or an example of what to do. And part of what I'm saying to my children, hey, Be careful about who you're around with. I remember Mama saying, Leslie, if you run around with 9 broke people, she said, I guarantee you, you become number 10. And so as you look at growing your practice, as you look at making a greater impact in your community, as you look at the things that you want to do, and being involved in legacy building and making the rest of your life the best of your life, we have to constantly monitor and be mindful of who's around us and what relationships that we have. People say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Not just that, it's who you know and what they know about you. Do you have the kind of reputation in the industry that people will see you as a go-to person? God said to Abraham, you know, I make your name great. Didn't say I'll make you a great man. I make your name. Great. The reason that when Fab calls me, he's a good man. He calls me, I don't call everybody back, but when he calls me, because of how I see him and because of my relationship with him, because of his vision, because of his integrity, because of the stand that he's taken with his life. People say, practice what you preach. No, preach what you practice. And what I know about him, I'm going to answer his call. I'm going to follow up. And that's the kind of relationships going forward in and out of the pandemic that we have to continue to look for and to develop. Some of the relationships that we need to spend less time with. There's some people, if we never saw them again, it would be too soon. Yes, what I read that you earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends, I got all my broke friends out of my life. I used to be so broke, I walked past the bank and tripped the alarm. And so this is the time you have to look at who's around me. Who's the matter with you? Here's something else. As you look at yourself, look at your goals, and look at the things that you want to do, put yourself out there. When I decided that I wanted to speak, I didn't want to just be a speaker. My goal was to be a dominant speaker in my niche. You've decided you want to be a category king or queen. You didn't just want to be one of the players. You wanted to be a player, the player. And that's why you're here. Iron sharpening iron. That's why you're here, learning some stuff that you don't know right now that will allow you to provide a quality of service for your customers and an experience so that when they leave there, they feel better about themselves. You're getting them in alignment with their vision of themselves and their body. They leave there feeling better about themselves, but talking about you because of the experience and because of the relationship. That's very important during this time in the distraction economy. What do you mean by we're so distracted? So much stuff's happening right now. In many situations, you can't even hear yourself think. And here's something else. And I'm going to just, I've got something I want to send you. This is very important. The master key, when I'm looking at my life and I'm asking myself, how did I get here? look for ways in which you can upgrade your communication. Steve Jobs said, your ability to communicate, he said, the storyteller is the most powerful person in the world. I want you to send me I'm going to give you something, get the free. It's called 7 Principles of Storytelling. And it's very important because you have to tell the story about your business. You have to tell the story about yourself and your ability to tell your story. It's today, in order in this noisy world where we are, you have to be good at telling the story about yourself and about your practice and being in alignment where people are and finding out how you can communicate with them in a way that they can hear you. One of the things about your industry and most industries that a lot of people don't know, it's an ongoing process of educating people with a story that creates the thirst. People say, you could take a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. No, but if you know how to tell a good story, you can create a thirst where they want to drink. I remember when I ran for state representative and I had been fired from radio, and people who would ordinarily supported me when I was on the microphone, they said, Les, we love you, but man, you lost the microphone, editorializing about all these controversial things. We can't support you, man, and you don't have a chance of winning. You don't have no experience, and you don't have any money to fight the party, all the media supporting your opponent. But they miss one thing. I had a story. And when I was on air as a disc jockey, I used to talk about my mother. And when I went to the radio station, my opponent had over $40,000 because his brother was the head of the treasury for the AFL-CIO. And he had the money and the influence to get more contributors to his campaign than me. I'm a novice. This is my first time in the game. I remember a friend who was trying to talk me into running for office. I said, man, I can't do that. I don't know anything about politics. And Perkins said, neither do the people who run. So he went and got some petitions signed and said, man, you should run. People love you. And here I am on Friday before the election. It was a Tuesday. The election will be on Tuesday. And I came to the station. I had around $640. He said, what you gonna do with that? I said, I'm not sure. And then I got still and I thought, I said, can I go in the control room? And I used to do commercials. He said, yeah. I called my mother because I used to talk about my mama all the time when I was on radio. And I said, Mama, I need you to say something for me. I'm running for state representative. She said, Leslie, what kind of mess you in now? I heard because you're a big mouth, they fired you. I said, Mama, I just need you to say something for me. I ain't got time for this mess, boy. I said, Mama, I'll send you $500. I did Western Union. She said, okay, you better send me my damn money. I said, okay, Mama, I'm going to record you, but you don't have to talk long. And I played a song by Aretha Franklin called Holy, 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 Come Together People. And then I had her say something. She said, hello, this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. When I raised my boys to be good boys. And when they got out of hand, I beat their behinds. Please vote for my son. He's a good boy. John Glenn called me, Senator John Glenn. He said, man, you call your mama on this dude, you gonna win this. And I did. I got 26,000 votes to his 3,000 votes because people said when they went in there to vote, say, I'm voting for lesbrown because his mama said he's a good boy. So being able to tell your story now, to be so good at it that you can't be ignored. to attract more customers, to get referrals, to create the kind of experience that people trust you. That people believe in you, that people feel a connection with you, because no matter what you're doing and who you're talking to, when you go out in your community and speak to people, they're asking three questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so when you know how to tell your story, oh, the possibilities of what you can do and the impact that you can make and the reputation that you develop, where people are seek you out and the word goes out. It's major. It's major. So I'd like to leave this with you, and I'm open for questions. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gold, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. If you'd like the free gift of 7 principles of storytelling, just email me at coachmelesbrown.com and we will send that out to you, the 7 principles of storytelling that will benefit you, your staff, and not only you personally, but also the mission and the goal that you have with your life to do the greater work, to help people to be in a better space in terms of their health. And also, people need hope. You literally are ambassadors of hope. And when there's hope in the future, that gives people power in the present. My goal is to create an army of people who will speak. And when they speak life, people that are in a dark place will come out into the light. When they speak life, people who have given up on themselves and thrown in the towel on themselves and their family and their dreams, that you will begin to inspire them not to take a permanent solution to a temporary situation, because you showed up and you shared your story and the passion that you have and the heart that you have to make an impact with your life. Horace Mann said, we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. That's where we are now. That's why I love Fab, because his goal is to make his mark. And the reason that you are there, because you're cut from the same branch and you're part of the same tree. You have something special. You have greatness in you.